into the work day here. I figured to give you guys a quick overview of where I'm at on the greenhouse. I just got my door partially installed, ready for screening. Evaporative cooling wall is on right now. That has really helped out at the weekend in all of this heat. You can see right now inside 79 degrees, which isn't too bad for it being 90 degrees outside. Evaporative cooling tank, I'm fixing to increase the size of him. Basically all he is water pouring through the substrate, air moving flue, and cooling greenhouse down. IBC tank is 225 gallons. We'll have nutrient in here for all the hydroponic systems. I've got a temporary pH controller set up right now, trying to stabilize the tank. Basically what I have is fresh water coming in that fills the tank once a week. I will balance it out, and everything in the greenhouse from that point will pull from this tank when they need water. Basically running 3 horsepower. My nutrient line runs down through all of the stations. This will be an additional NFT rail station. This one here. We come in here, we'll have a reservoir tank on that shutoff, which will pull from the main IBC. It will service the NFT rails and the bucket systems here for the tomatoes that will trellis. We also have cucumber trellis station here, which I've basically just hung a trellis up to the rafters, so when I plant my cucumbers this weekend, they've got a means to climb above the rest of the system. The rest of my NFT rails will run accordingly. Microgreen station sitting in the back. I was running 60 trays a week with this thing prior to the shutdown. I've got room to get another shelf down here with the nutrient tank station that I'm going to put in. So we should be able to crank out 80 trays a week on this. Everything is PLC controlled. There you go. You see my business. This will be my finishing station. Shelving. I've also got a 4-foot shelf that'll go in front of the IBC tank to store material up there. But basically back here I'll have a workbench. Kind of ratty right now with all my tools, but that and storage underneath to where I can build out my trays, finish my trays, be able to put them in the dark. I've got music, I've got beer. Exhaust fan right now is on a temporary thermostat till I get the PLC online. This will be a 8-foot by 4-foot floating raft system. My peppers that I've already got started in Dutch buckets. You see my aerator pump sitting behind, pumping air to my buckets. The buckets themselves, these plants are 2 weeks old. I think they're doing fairly well. These are 2 that I had left over from last year. They're coming back once I put the nutrients to them. I've got 2 old ratty ones here from last year, actually the year before, that are still slowly hanging on. And if you actually look, these buckets are not attached to anything at this point. I still have to put the drains or the water in. I just come in here a couple of times a day and give them a shot of water to keep them alive. So that's where we're at with those. I'll move them over into the Dutch system once I get the tomatoes ready to plant. Overhead, light systems are remotely controlled. I can control those from the house, so I can shut them down. Third one is my stereo. Fourth one is fan systems. Fifth one is circulation system. So I can turn these fans off other than the main fan for the evaporative cooling from the house. Turn them back on, and we got full circulation again. Same thing with the fan in the back. I'll have two overhead fans at some point facing opposite directions to help circulate the air in here. Show you where we are on the outside. Some older, smaller greenhouse off to the side that have been tearing the hydroponics out of to get it over here. But basically, like I say, we've got a 20 by 40 here with shade cloth that I cut in. You can see he's recessed down in the ground with a retaining wall. The retaining wall I'll backfill and do something with him once I get finished. I've got another outside bed that I wind up putting there between there and my fruit trees. I've got oranges, got Myers lemons sitting over here. You see the outside of this thing. What I've done is everything on the outside is slat wall construction. Should last me a good long time. Slat walls. This is the outside of my evaporative cooling, and then you see my tie-ins for my shade cloth. Coming along. I've still got a fair amount of work to do, and it's been a long haul, but we're getting closer every day. Marine out.